For years we've been told Bitcoin mining is bad for the environment, but nothing could be further from the truth. The Skull of Satoshi is a famous piece of Bitcoin artwork that was initially created to tell a story of how bad Bitcoin mining is for the environment, but that's not the real story. I caught up with Daniel Batten to unpack how Bitcoin mining is actually good for the environment and what the future of the industry looks like. Thanks so much for chatting to us, Dan. First things first, we've seen a huge sort of change in perception around Bitcoin mining in the last year and a half. I think a lot of that came with Cambridge's recent reports on Bitcoin mining in particular and some of the facts that have come out of that. How have you seen the industry change, and do you think that we are moving in the right direction and people are understanding why Bitcoin mining is good for the environment and why it's a lot more important than people think?
I guess there's two parts to that. One is, are we moving in the right direction in terms of Bitcoin using more sustainable energy? The answer is absolutely yes, and we've got confirmation of that through Cambridge, which told us what we already knew for quite a long time, is that it's predominantly sustainably sourced. The other area is that message getting out? Are we moving in the right direction there? And that's got a more nuanced answer. The first part of it is that there is a lot less negative press coverage than there was back in 2022, without a doubt. But that hasn't really been replaced by a huge amount of positive coverage for a bunch of reasons, but one of which is simply that negative headlines sell better than positive headlines. I mean, you've been in journalism, you understand how that mechanism works. Yeah. So what's happened is the people who read those negative stories about Bitcoin and energy and all the rest of it from 2018 through to 2022, they haven't read anything which has changed their mind. So there's a lot of people out there. The analogy I use is it's like, okay, you've drunk from a poisoned river from 4 years. The river's no longer been poisoned, but does that mean your body's healthy? Well, no, it doesn't. So there's a bit of a detox that needs to happen. Yeah. There's a lot of education because a lot of people out there still believe Bitcoin is bad for the environment. And then particularly people on the political left who they'll see a Bitcoin conference and they'll see all the Republican speakers and they'll go, that's not my tribe. And so it's really important that we show people that Bitcoin is for Republicans, it is for Democrats, it's for Libertarians, it's for Green Party voters, it's for non-partisan people, it's for everyone. And we show how it appeals to people's different value sets. So yes, heading in the right direction in terms of more sustainable energy use. Yes, there's less debunked studies now that have been reported by the media. And yes, there's still a lot of work to do in terms of education about how Bitcoin is a tool for anyone who wants to use it.
In your mind, what is the most compelling argument for Bitcoin mining being more ubiquitous around the world? And do you think it suits certain countries and not other countries?
I think it suits anyone who has wasted energy, and that's a lot of countries. Yeah. So say, for example, you're New Zealand and you have 80% hydro. Well, there's a lot of times when that hydro energy is wasted or very cheap because you're in the rainy season and it flows over the side of the dam. You could be mining Bitcoin. Let's say you're Spain and you have a lot of spare renewable energy because you have been subsidized to build it, but you haven't been subsidized to use it or to transport it. So you have a lot of renewable energy that gets wasted because it can't be transported effectively. So that's a candidate for Bitcoin mining because you can make the renewable transition more profitable. Let's say that you have big oil and gas fields, and wherever you hit oil, you also hit natural gas, but it's nowhere near the pipeline, so that just gets flared. And flaring is not only wasteful, but it's environmentally harmful because it doesn't burn all the methane or the natural gas, it only burns 90%, 91%. But that rest of the methane that goes in the atmosphere, that's 84 times more warming to the earth than carbon dioxide. So again, you're better off to monetize that, but not only you're better off, it's better for the environment at the same time. So you're turning pollution into a monetizable asset. And then you've got anywhere around the world who has landfills, which is what our infrastructure investment fund does. Because we said, well, flaring's bad, but venting methane into the air is even worse. It's even worse. And landfills is one of the 3 biggest emitters of methane, anthropogenic methane emitters. So if we can take landfill gas that's going into the atmosphere we can instead purify it, send it to a generator or a bunch of generators, and do on-site Bitcoin mining with it. That's good for the environment, it's good for the landfill owners because you're turning pollution into a monetizable asset. It's good for the Bitcoin mining company because they get cheap power, and it's good for us as the infrastructure investment company because we get to finance them, plus we get the carbon credits, which means we can get superior returns. So there's no one right form and there's no one right geography, but where the industry is gravitating is towards stranded and wasted energy, which is almost always carbon neutral, or in the case of methane, it's actually carbon negative.
Yeah. When it comes to the perception around Bitcoin mining and these overarching negative articles about Bitcoin mining, at what stage does mainstream media's approach and understanding of Bitcoin mining change? Because you're one of the most outspoken critics on social media. If a big mainstream publication publishes something that's outright wrong or just citing the wrong data, you're the first guy that comes out and says, guys, this is wrong. Here's 10 other papers that proves that it's good for the environment. These are great examples of that. Do you see that changing in the next 5 to 10 years? It has a little bit, but we still get these bad articles that come out.
It's changed a lot. What's happened really is, like at the moment, yes, you still get bad articles, but the volume has decreased. It's only about 10% of what it used to be. So it's improved a lot. And again, there's actually now a net balance of positive articles over negative articles on the environment, not on Bitcoin generally. Bitcoin generally is still mostly negative in the mainstream media, but the specific point of is Bitcoin bad for the environment, we're actually getting more positive than negatives in the media. But the point is this, you're not getting enough positives to counteract all the vast swathes of negatives that occurred over a 4-year period. So what will happen is, it's like the media's moved on, and they're not going to take responsibility to re-educate the people who they've misinformed over 4 years. So that's kind of up to us to do.
Yeah, and you've championed that a lot.
And there's a lot of work to do. And we're just it's a tip of the iceberg really, because a lot of those messages, they won't get read by, my social media account doesn't have the same reach as the New York Times. So there's plenty of people who've read the New York Times but have not read my rebuttals to it, right? So there's still a lot of work to do.
Do you get a lot of actual comments back from the journalists that you're tweeting at?
Yes, I do. I would say that 1 out of 10 will actually rescind or retract an article, and 1 out of 5 will respond at all. Yeah.
And I mean, look, no one likes to be called out for inaccurate reporting, unfortunately.
I try and keep it respectful as well. Like, I never attack the person. It's always, I mean, you're a journalist, you know this. It's like, but you know, a good, honest journalist actually would be, in theory, thankful for the fact that they are doing better journalism, because they came to journalism because they wanted to report facts and inform people. And so if I can say, hey, actually, this isn't factually true, you probably had good intentions, but you probably weren't aware that there's these 20 peer-reviewed papers that actually counteract what you're saying. You're probably also not aware that the article you are citing has now been debunked in 3 peer-reviewed journals. Then it's like, you're not attacking the person, you're attacking the logic, and you're attacking the argumentation. And superior ideas and the superior logic should win. It's not about egos.
No, 100%. And last year you cited Cointelegraph. There were a number of publications that wrote about a UN report talking about the environment.
I challenged Cointelegraph.
Yeah, you challenged us as well.
And again, I tried to say, look, you have good intentions, you want to put it out, but this article from UN University,
one-sided.
It's been debunked systematically through having data sets which were 4 years old, and relying on the work of other authors who have also been debunked. And so again, if you can attack the logic or the underpinning without the person, then you're in a dialogue because you're not getting defensive reactions. Otherwise, it just becomes about one person's ego versus the other, and the core issue, which is, are we actually reporting accurately, goes away. But no, Cointelegraph is, I'm not just saying because I'm talking to you now, but the reporting on Bitcoin and the environment has actually improved a lot.
And it's because of, honestly, it's because of your feedback. We had an internal conversation when you pointed that out, you know, and we were like, listen, we should have said that we should have at least
verify
the other side. First verify the information, and then also reach out to other people in the industry, get different comments. Like, that's good journalism.
That's great, because I mean, look, my first reaction to Bitcoin was, as an environmentalist, was negative. And so I made some terrible mistakes in some of the things I used to say. But that shows intellectual humility. So,
High
well
five
done.
to that.
Yeah,
there we
yeah.
go. We all live and we all learn.
We all learn, exactly.
Just your thoughts on Bitcoin 2025. I think this is a fantastic conference.
Yep.
It's very open to politics. It's
Yep.
very open to all sorts of people doing different things in the industry. It doesn't really feel truly Bitcoin centric anymore, which I think is okay. But I'm just curious on your thoughts of the involvement of politics and institutionalization of Bitcoin.
You know, Bitcoin is for anyone. People used to say it's for everyone. I don't think it is for everyone. I think it's for anyone, and there's a distinction. So that means it's also, there's another phrase, Bitcoin is for enemies. So if you're going to have a decentralized peer-to-peer technology, you have to be prepared that people have completely the opposite ideological beliefs to you, will also use it for the causes they care about and promote it through the values that they espouse. So right now you've had this period where for 4 years Bitcoin was really vilified by one political party. As a result, that really mobilized a lot of the Bitcoin community to say, we've got to make this a voting issue, and that's given a lot of steam to another administration to come in, and we're now seeing the after effects of that. And look, that'll start to even out, because what you'll start to see over time is the Democrats will start to realize that was a vote loser, that was a stupid idea to have like to try and form an anti-crypto army. That was a stupid idea to spend 4 years vilifying Bitcoin. Look how many votes we lost. In fact, it did lose them the election.
Yeah,
actually.
definitely.
And we know that statistically, because you look at you just do the analysis, you do the math on it. Maybe there's other things it did as well, but that one issue was an election loser. So they have an opportunity to come back, and what I think will happen now is they'll come back and they'll say, well, yeah, we're going to embrace Bitcoin, but we're going to do it in a different way. We're going to do it in a way which is consistent with our value set, right? Which will be a different framing to how the Republican Party frames it, and that's great. That's what we want. We don't want one side who just vilifies it and another side who embraces it. We want both sides embracing it, but for different reasons.
Yeah. I think it's also important to just critique everything. I mean, one of my biggest kind of question marks is the institutional adoption of Bitcoin, or these Bitcoin treasury companies. A very, very interesting, play on Bitcoin, and probably not something that a lot of people thought would happen. Strategy has like 600,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We got, Made a Planet now, which is in Japan is such a fascinating, phenomenon.
Yeah.
I don't think it's amazing for Bitcoin, but like you say, you don't get to choose who uses Bitcoin.
No, you don't.
So yeah.
And look, in terms of that, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I do have an opinion on that. I think, look, you have some people who say just attack Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy and say it's a big Ponzi. It's not a Ponzi. If you do the math on it, you look to their debt to equity ratio, it's very sound what he's doing. Very sensible, very well thought through. There is no chance of him being wrecked. Yeah. However, there is a chance that other people will replicate that strategy with a difference where they haven't potentially, they get their leverage wrong, or they get some of their bond conditions wrong, convertibility of notes, they get caught at the wrong time in a market downturn, and there is a risk that there'll be some liquidations. Yeah. So that's possible. So I'm kind of neither saying that it's all wonderful or all terrible. I think it's great, but I also think there will be some companies that get it wrong who do get wrecked, and that will have downward price pressure. What we don't know yet is just how much.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's not as much as...
I don't think it will be, because I think the biggest companies, like they will do it the most. This is what I hope, and this is what we're seeing already. The largest companies, obviously, strategy for one, but also, as you say, Meta Planet and others, they are really, from what I can see, copying the Michael Saylor playbook, which is done in a really responsible way with responsible debt to equity ratios. So we just have to wait and see whether there's a tail of people who depart from that model. That'll kind of determine what happens next.
Daniel, thank you so much for your time.
No
you are
trouble.
one of the best advocates for Bitcoin mining out there, and understanding the environmental concerns around it, and also the environmental positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you don't follow Daniel Batten on X, DS Batten is the @.
That's fine.
He's a fantastic resource, fantastic individual, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome.